Okay, so start talking now about why, what's going on for people when they might be behaving in challenging ways. And, you know, for a lot of years, this was what I saw with my son was just the behaviour, so the things that he did, which were really quite difficult. He could be quite aggressive and quite destructive, and there's a whole bunch of other things that he did that were difficult to understand. And I guess that what we did when we saw him behaving in those ways was make some assumptions about why. So I very definitely thought at certain times that he was doing this to get at me, and there was kind of a revenge thing going on. You know, he could be quite targeted in terms of doing things that would really upset me, and I thought that was very premeditated and planned and intentional thing for him to do. At other times, mostly what I thought, that was probably a small amount of what I thought, the darker thoughts I had about him. Most of the time I thought it was he just had to learn. So he just had to learn better ways of doing it. And we would achieve that maybe by putting consequences in place for him. So he spent huge amounts of time out in his life, none of which was particularly effective, actually. So I might just hand over to Maggie and Jodie also, and Deb, to talk about their experience of how they used to think about behaviour.
Just before Maggie and Jodie speak, I guess what we're introducing here is that it's a little bit complicated by the behaviour that's presented to us, is that, you know, our kids as well as ourselves sometimes engage in behaviour that's in front of us, and we're confronted by that. So we see behaviour and automatically, I guess, we're confronted with what do we do about it. So, and that influences the way that we think, it influences the way that we, you know, what we want to do about it. And often what actually happens is that when we see somebody engaging in a behaviour that is difficult for us, then we not all the time, but sometimes we have these automatic thoughts about, well, we need to fix it, it needs to stop, what am I going to do about it, etc., etc. Or sometimes what happens is that onus of control is placed on our child, which is, you need to stop that, you need to change your behaviour, this is what you need to do, you need to buckle up in a way. I don't know if people have experienced those thoughts, and it's human. You know, I do it all the time with my own kids, and I know a lot about behaviour support. Sometimes it's just part of your reactions at the time in terms of you see a behaviour, particularly somebody who's really verbal, somebody who doesn't look like they've got an intellectual disability or a disability, and somebody who can argue their way out of something, and somebody's arguing back at you, then the attributions that we might place on that in terms of why that person might be doing that they need to change their behaviour, etc., etc. So I guess that's what we're talking about here, is that it's really sometimes hard for us in terms of what do we do about it when we're confronted with what we see, because we do want it to change. We do.
So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what it was like for us as a family with Jamie and his behaviours. Jamie would often kick and scream and bite and throw things and be really destructive. We've had to replace iPads and iPhones and window panes and all sorts of things. But we were really focusing on the behaviour. We didn't know what to do. We felt like failures as parents. We thought, well, our other children, you know, there's 3 other children that seem to be thriving okay, and, you know, they don't seem to have these behaviours, but Jamie's behaviour was just felt like out of control. And we didn't really know where to go. We didn't know how to ask for help or who to ask for help. And we felt really lost. And I could see the siblings being really resentful of their brother, you know, saying things like, my brother's just mean, or he hates me. So they didn't really understand the behaviour. They just saw him as a naughty child. And so did my husband and myself. We really just thought, you know, why? why is he behaving like this? He's just naughty. He needs to learn. So it was really frustrating for all of us.
Yes, for us as a family, it was very similar. Ayana's behaviour was constant. She would hit, kick, throw, punch, whatever she could do. Whatever was next was on the list. She had a big toolbox of negative behaviours. We actually believed as parents that she was just there to make our lives miserable. We were like constant, down and up and down and up. And we believed she was just the naughtiest child ever. And we also believed she had a really nasty streak, because it got really difficult for us as a family when I had my younger daughter. It's 2 years difference. And she would target her as a baby to get my attention, because attention was what she was needing at the time, whether it was positive or negative. I actually felt like a bit of a prisoner in my own home. I had to go to the toilet with the door open, wait till my husband come home to shower, constantly carry the baby around. It was really difficult, and she wouldn't respond to anything. We tried all the typical things: time out, shouting, screaming, I even tried the 1, 2, 3 system. I've got my eldest daughter was 7 years older, and I'd do the old 1, 2. By 2.5, everything was back to normal. With Ayana, it was like 2 3/4, 3. Why are you not doing anything? So yeah, nothing typical would work. We were using food as bribery, rewards, and we were in a position where we knew none of that was working. All it was doing was reinforcing the behaviour. But we just felt really isolated, really lost. We needed a fix by someone, anyone, whoever. Didn't have one. And we were really down in the dumps. It was really quite difficult back in the day.
So, just thought we'd give you an opportunity just to have a chat with the people on your table maybe about you. So, what are some of your thoughts about what needed to change been for your family member? What have some of your reactions been? What are some strategies that you've tried? And what do you think was needed to help them?